Good morning, good afternoon. We got the news coming soon. It's Cam coming from Send News. We in the Such a Vibe Museum. Shout out to our executive production behind the camera. We got Imani Network. We got Millie Vanderwood. We supporting Black businesses. We bringing up the community. We got a special guest this morning, this evening. However, whatever time frame it is for you, goes by many names. He doesn't need the introduction, but we're gonna give it to him anyway. The glorious, the almighty, the omnipotent Flash Juan himself.
Woo! What's up, guys? It's Flash One. I'm with Cam.
Yes,
we
sir,
in the
yes,
building,
sir.
man.
All right, so we got a few topics for you. It's a lot going on in the world right now.
Yeah.
Local level, national level, global level, it's just insanity. But the line through all of that will probably be TikTok. That's how we get all our information,
Definitely.
It's become our new news site. We're not watching CNN, we're not watching NBC, we're not watching ABC, Fox, like
New media.
new media. Imani Network. So, just wanted to know, what are your thoughts on these bans going on around the country with TikTok?
Personally, I feel like TikTok is like a great platform for like exposure to everything. You know, you want to go somewhere, you want to get something nice to eat, you go on TikTok. So I feel like it's a very interesting dynamic.
I get that. But with that being said, right, I feel like it's a lot of disguises being thrown around. It's like they're saying it's for national security purposes. Like they wanna keep us in this space of we have a direct way of communicating something to you.
Yeah.
Once you're in charge of how you get your news, you're gonna look for the truth. So I feel like we're not even talking about like the bigger implications behind it. Like they're banning TikTok now, but what if they ban other apps that we really need and we didn't even know it? Like I'm just trying to figure out. So from the news angle, you're going to be impacted by what you get on a day to day.
Yeah.
But also, you're an entertainer, so this is a way that you can spread your messages.
As far as why it is to everybody.
Yeah, it's a versatile platform.
Definitely.
Whole lot of functions to be used. How do you feel about the idea of entertainment though? Like right now, I think, like we said, it's a lot going on. Entertainment can oftentimes like distract us from us,
Yeah.
troubling us on a day-to-day. Do you feel like that's a good distraction, bad? Like it depends on how you use it.
I feel like as long as you use it and it's a balance, most people, you got to separate reality from the things that you see on the internet, right? Mm-hmm. And most people don't see the difference between that. You got this one persona on the internet, that doesn't mean that's how it is in real life,
Yeah. But that's funny too that you mentioned that, because the internet is basically all we see these days. Like social media is how we live our life. A lot of people don't have that ability to split the two because it's become so intertwined. I kind of find it a little troubling too, because we got so wrapped up in social media. But you have the idea of like government taking that away, like banning TikTok or whatever. What's going to happen with us, interacting socially? The way that we have to redefine how we,
To be honest, ever since that pandemic, people's socials meters been down. Like people rely so much on like, this is how I'm gonna type to somebody. Most people don't even know how to talk for real. So it's like TikTok and the internet and everything like that is like, I'm not gonna say it's bad, but at the same time, you have to learn how to be social. So if it bans it, hopefully it makes things a little bit better socially. People go outside, talk to people, learn some different things from the people instead of relying on the app.
So you say we need like a detox. We need a reset.
I'm going to say you need balance. There does need to be some type of detox, but not fully away though,
I get that, Balance is important. I feel like anything that you do, if you do it, disproportionately, you over consuming something, it can make even the best stuff bad for you.
Make it watered down.
Yeah.
Lose substance.
For sure.
And also, like with the internet today, like making music, anybody can make music.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of make it harder, but it makes it easier at the same time, just because you can put your stuff out to whatever. So if the people like you, they're going to listen. Like there's a market for everything. So
I get you. I read about that in Conscious Capitalism, just how the idea of like the best stuff is always going to float to the top.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's interesting too, because, with social media, with technology coming up, everything's become oversaturated. Like everything that you can think of, you realize that 10,000 other people thought of it too.
Definitely.
But before, it felt like an idea that was unique to you. And now you're like, nah, we all kind of living the same life. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have this show, because, I think when we see news media today, it looks very different. It's dry, headlines at the bottom.
Yeah.
And you don't really get a sense of how, like, everything. Yeah, like, it's important, but it's also like we don't have an input on it. Like, it's affecting us, but they don't really care how we feel about that. And yeah, I feel like just because we not at the age where we can, hold the presidency or whatever, doesn't mean that we shouldn't have an input on it. For instance, I don't think you really need to go too far to realize that this TikTok ban, that's not really on anybody's radar. It's so many other issues that we got going on.
Definitely.
And, that might also, like, feed into the idea of, like, I'm not a big conspiracy theory believer, but you start to see these channels develop where people are saying, all right, it's got to be a motive. It's got to be a reason why people are doing some of this stuff. Who's benefiting from this? And then first thing you say is, man, we reporting on all of the stuff that the U.S. not doing right now. So I
will say, just due to the fact of, like, everything as far as that, if you take TikTok away, it's like you can't see everything that's going on. So you'll be only focused the thing that's in your bubble. And it's like with everything on the internet, it's so much bad news on the internet that catch people attention. So it's like, let's focus on the bad things, right? We don't really focus on the good things of what's going on. And with so much negativity out there, it's like, it brings us down as well. Because it's like, that's what we consume.
Yeah, that's the algorithm.
That's the algorithm.
It's trying to feed you.
Everybody algorithm different.
That's true too. Funny enough. Yeah, I feel like, it's definitely too much negativity on our feeds today. Like, I feel like if you put, something positive and something negative in front of people at the same time, they'll want to push the negative aspect a little bit more. I don't know why though. I don't feel like people want to naturally be, negative, be pessimistic or whatever, but it sells like hotcakes, and it's just like, why? Like, what are we doing with that?
Everybody likes drama. No matter what you watch, if it doesn't have no drama, nobody likes for the good guy to win throughout the whole thing. So there has to be a villain.
All right, so jump in the shark a little bit with that one.
Yeah.
If everybody likes drama, do you feel like that's why we are where we at right now? Like, it doesn't feel like anything's being taken seriously because, people would rather see whatever's entertaining, whatever's out of the ordinary versus like right now we looking at this president race or whatever.
Yeah.
And we don't like any of the candidates that are going on, but we didn't put out anybody better. Is that because we like drama? Is that because we want to see a spectacle?
To be honest, there's going to be a spectacle regardless of who you pick, because these people were like, what? You don't really like these people, but it's like, who else is out here? Yeah. Who else is out here? There's somebody out here, but we don't know who they is yet.
Hey, man, that might be how we use TikTok better. Like, figuring out, all right, next time around, we need to know who we electing, 3-4 years out type shit. Like,
yeah, but like how we say, everything is a persona. We voted somebody in not too long ago, right? Mm-hmm. And it's cool because they the face. Mm-hmm. They got a nice face. We don't know what go on behind closed doors. So anybody could be anybody. That makes it difficult to, you feel me, who you gonna pick?
Yeah, I get that. All right. We've been talking about the news. We've been talking about like what's going on, but actually breaking it down, it's a whole lot of different wars going on, like popping off everywhere. It feels like everybody just ready to go at it. But, I feel like that, like, it poses a good question of what should we do to change that? We got Obama in office a couple years ago and that was cool.
Yeah.
But before that, everybody looked the same.
Yeah, Yeah.
And I think you go to different countries, and more often than not, the ones that are popping crazy, they got, men in charge. They got the Putins and the Kim Jong-uns, like all of these volatile, personalities.
Yeah.
Just wondering, do you feel like it would be any different if we swapped it out? If we were just like, all right, men, we've been running it long enough. Let's see what's going on this other side. Play the passive role.
Play the passive role?
Yeah.
You think if women became in like charge, they'd be passive?
I'm wondering, do you feel like the power dynamics would still be the same? Because a lot of people say men aren't good with communication. Do you feel like a lot of these wars, this all of this that's popping off, it's a lapse in communication? Like, is it egos flaring? Like, is it something that women could do differently, or it's gonna happen regardless?
There's definitely egos flaring up. I feel like, when you got two bulls, two dogs in a room, somebody has to be the alpha. Somebody got to be the top dog. So if a woman is in charge, no sexist, no nothing like that, but I feel like it might be worse just due to the fact of they're going to say, oh my gosh, she's emotional, blah, blah, blah. They're going to have any type of different excuse to say that she's wrong.
Yeah.
So, and they're going to do whatever.
And I feel like that's like that's the crazy part about it, right?
Yeah,
because
so it's like, what?
we looking at it from like they're gonna be emotional perspective, but who came up with that idea? Because they we looking at last year, right?
Yeah.
Oppenheimer came out, $1 billion movie talking about how they made the bomb, but it wasn't no women pushing the button on that.
There was no women pushing the button on it.
Two big ass forces of destruction, just all men.
Yeah.
So I feel like we gotta do
that's
something
just a
to switch
thought.
it up.
That's just a thought out there. Like
it
they
is.
think that they're like emotional. It's just because it's like two different pathways, two
Yeah.
different brain johns. So whatever they say, we're gonna think like, oh, like what? But at the end of the day, they could be right. We just don't know yet.
So they do have a couple countries out here.
For real?
Not they're not on the scale of like the U.S.
Oh, okay.
But they're coming up, and they got all of the quote unquote progressive things that you'd be looking for in a country, like free healthcare, free college access, like stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
I just feel like those aren't necessarily things that need to be placed on smaller countries. Like it's almost like a trial run. They're like, all right, you can run Denmark or whatever, like you can run these countries, but I don't know about Russia yet, and I don't know about India. Like,
you gotta see the scale first. You gotta see how everything measure up.
But doesn't that seem wild?
That
like
is wild.
It's I think it's more women on the planet than men.
There
and if
definitely
it's
is.
like it's such a close split. It's like obviously they should have had more chances to come up in this space. Because if they fuck up, that's cool too. At least we know everybody fucking up.
Definitely, people are people. So regardless of who you got in there, you just gotta think about their character, what they like to do.
What are you looking for in a leader?
In a leader? Somebody that take accountability for what they do. Somebody that's gonna stand on whatever they say. You gotta be diplomatic. You also gotta be diplomatic. Your way isn't the highway, so you gotta at least listen to other people to try to get a grasp on how things could go.
Okay, so own up for your decisions.
Yeah.
And be able to pivot. Like just say, okay, I might have been looking at this the wrong way.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. I like
everything isn't on go. You just gotta sit back and analyze the situation a little bit.
Okay, so you don't want no hothead leaders, no quick to pull the trigger.
That don't
leaders.
Get you nowhere.
It don't. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
That's funny. I feel like most people would be looking for those things. Like, who wouldn't want a leader to, listen to the people, to admit when they're wrong? Like, that's very good start. But we don't really have those conversations until, election year come up or something like that. And it's like, all right, well, it's too late now. Like, we gotta
put somebody out here.
Yeah, but we could have had this conversation, I think that speaks to how we like live in the moment. We're very like, today isn't promised, so every second is a different, problem to deal with. But realistically speaking, like these leaders that we putting in place, they inherited other people's problems. Like, you know, most of this stuff didn't come up overnight type stuff.
Definitely.
So I feel like we, you know, would benefit more from being able to say, all right, 10 years from now, where are we going to need to be at? And who we going to need to put there? If we don't got anybody, who can we put on the track? You know, it's weird because, like, we talk about sports, we talk about, you know, other industries like that.
Yeah.
They're planning 15, 20 years ahead of time, and we're definitely on some, all right.
It is what it is. We get into it right now.
Yeah, like, why we got drafts for, like, an NFL combine, but not for, like, a presidential candidate? Like, oh, he coming up quick. I don't know. His policy on foreign aid, that might boost him up in the rankings a little bit. Hey, that's what we need to start. We need to start a political combine.
I think that is a thing.
Man.
I think it's a thing. Not like a political combine where, like, everybody get there. I feel like there is people in, like, states. That's how people become, like, the president. You at least got to be somebody in your state.
Yeah, you coming up for sure.
Yeah.
But I think that'd be cool, like, the way that we have an MVP ladder, you know, we know who's probably going to win.
Yeah.
They should have
What's the odds on it?
Yeah, most valuable president.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
You see who coming up next? Like, oh, I like yo on the run.
Yeah.
So that's funny because, you know, we looking at, like, Maryland, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how closely you've been following them. Wes Moore, first black governor, and I want to say in general, definitely in a minute though. Like, it's been a bop since. I'm pretty sure he's the first black governor. But yeah, he looking like, you know, Obama 2.0. Like, you could see down the line, you know,
that
him
he could be president.
Yeah,
yeah.
And I just wonder, like, how other people feel when they see situations like, oh, I could see yo, like, taking over, but it's not always, you know, a charismatic, you know, I don't know, Ocasio, that's shawty out in New York, or a Wes Moore. You could see, like, a Donald Trump and be like, oh, you're about to take over. Like,
yeah.
If you on the winning team, obviously you happy about that, but from the outside,
it get a little tricky.
A little hectic.
From the outside.
So, yeah, we got our hands in a lot of cookie jars right now. It's a lot of stuff going on around the world. More often than not, we find a way into it. Do you feel like that's a problem that we need to address too? Like, you know, we always in other people's business. We never worrying about our own business. Like, what's going on with that?
To be quite frank with everybody out there, how can you worry about stuff outside if your house not clean? Like, how are we focused on the things that's going on in different countries? Like, yeah, that's cool. Be diplomatic, you know, have people on your backside and things like that. Like, have people in your good graces. But, like, when your own ain't doing so well, so it's like, where do we get this money from? But, like, what? It doesn't make sense to me. But that's a thing.
The spending, like, we got such a discrepancy between spending on, like, education and spending on weapons. And then, you know,
education went down.
It did. And we've never been the top of anything around the world. It's like, why are we that's like you down 15 and you taking your starting 5 out. Like, what are you doing? You can still come back.
There's still time on the clock.
Yeah. Nah, I really feel like our problem is, like, hypocrisy. Like, we just don't we just don't stand on business. Like, if we're gonna admit that we did something wrong, we can do that. But if we're not gonna admit that, then we just gotta change the behavior. And we're not doing either one. That's really messing us up right now.
Definitely.
So if you were in power, if you had your finger on the button, what's your next move? What are you doing?
Like on some Thanos type thing?
They can't stop this one decision from being made.
I feel like if everybody had, like, a little bit of bread in their pocket, it would probably make everything a little bit better. Because nobody risk it all if they got money. You know? There's no reason to risk it if you got a little bit of bread. And then it makes things a little bit better.
So would you do that, like, straight cash, or you looking at, like, job investment, giving people the opportunity to get it on their own?
I say get it on their own. I say we kind of got that right now as far as, like, get it on your own. But it's more like you have to be a smart person to know what to do. Just because you got money don't mean you know what to do with the money. So probably, what's the word? Financial literacy.
For sure.
Make sure that's a thing.
All right, jumping back, I feel like that's definitely one of the bigger issues that we had. You know, we blame a lot of things.
Yeah.
More often than not, we come back to school and say we ain't learned it in school.
Yeah.
Financial literacy would have really helped
That
a lot of
probably
people.
would have been a thing. That should have been a thing.
Yeah. Mid-20s, we trying to figure out our next move. Why didn't we know that when school was still free? Like when we were still required to go there?
I will say it's like grown-ups. It's like nobody really know what they got going on. Nobody really knows, but I feel like it's a saying that says a smart man learns from his mistakes, but a wise man learns from other mistakes. So if you know you not good, why don't you tell me? Or I could just look at somebody and be like, oh, they not cool. Let's not be like them. What did they do so I don't do that?
Okay. Yeah. I do feel like not learning from other people's mistakes is another one of our biggest problems because we keep repeating these same, slip ups over and over. And it's like, what haven't we figured out by now?
Yeah.
So with you saying that you're doing investment, I feel like that would be, that's usually what a lot of people are concerned on, how the economy's doing. And that's basically, how one person gets in the office and another person gets taken out. Like, all right, we need more jobs. We need more, this in our pockets.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like this just, pigtailing off of your other answer, you feel like it's any jobs that could be brought to Baltimore, to Maryland?
Like, per se?
Just
like an exact job?
Yeah, just things that you see, for instance, right? We used to have in Baltimore, we used to have people like collection centers. If you brought in glass bottles.
Oh, like cans and all of that good stuff, like bottles?
And you get paid for it,
I feel like that is a pretty good thing. You know how much time like people drink water?
It cut down on litter.
Like,
it put a little nickel in your pocket.
Yeah, even if it's a nickel.
That's a nickel you ain't have. Yeah. So stuff like that. Like, a lot of people talk about us with like squeegee boys or something. But at the end of the day, that's a workforce. Like that's people that we could put to any task.
To do something.
Especially people who are grinding like that. Like the harder your hustle is, the more I know that you want to get it. That's resourcefulness. So
yes.
I feel like that's more so like the lens that we need to refocus. Like it's not, the problem isn't who we don't have working, it's that we don't have them in, fields that could really bring out
be beneficial.
Yeah, their potential. We're not maximizing potential and we got to really work on that.
Yeah. I will say maybe like, I don't know, like cutting grass or something. It's plenty of things for somebody to do outside.
Yeah, they about to.
It's something.
They talking about it now. They trying to put like $1 billion worth of investment in the harbor. Like they trying to redo Harbor Place. Yeah. So I feel like.
But with redoing like the Harbor Place and like redoing things, it's like gentrification. So it makes it a little bit harder for the people that's in there to live.
Yeah.
So that makes it a very interesting thing. Do we want to build up so we can have other people come in? Or do you want to build up so at least the people that live there live comfortably? That makes it an interesting thing.
That's true. So I feel like, you have a scenario like that. Not everybody's going to want to do it,
Yeah.
It's always going to be people who don't want to hand up. But for the people that are there who are saying, all right, just tell me what to do, roll up my sleeves, I get it done.
Yeah.
It's more than just like payment that you could get them though. Like it's, it's people around who obviously need, different kinds of assistance, whether it's with substances or whatever. Like here, we usually dealing with substances, dealing with not making enough money. So I feel like those are two things that you could package together and say, all right, every person that we help, that's, less money that we're spending on them on the back end, like if you in a hospital or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But we not, shuffling that money where it need to go. So yeah, I want to say, I would say investment too. Like investment would definitely be on the top of my list of things that I would want to change. Maryland in particular, I don't really know too much about like fishing, like, the the whole industry at sea.
Yeah.
But I do feel like that's something that we would be interested in doing. You would just need to train us up.
We're surrounded by water.
Yeah, like seafood real important to us. And
definitely.
If you gave us the opportunity to get it ourselves, I think we would. I just think that would need to be something like financial literacy, something that we teaching early on in school. But all right.
Keep giving a person fish or teach them how to fish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was deep.
That was a bar right there, man. Nothing but bars, man. Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna wrap here.
Okay.
First episode of Send News in the Bank.
We in the building.
How you feeling?
I feel like this was pretty good. I feel like this was pretty knowledgeable. You know, you spread knowledge. You don't say nothing too crazy, but
say I got bills to pay outside. I can't let the claims get back to you.
Yeah, so
yeah,
I feel like this is pretty nice. Such a vibe. It's such a vibe.
Such a vibe, always.
So I feel like it's pretty clean, man. Thanks for having me in the building.
Thanks for coming.
Already.